Disclaimer: this story is fictional and created purely for entertainment purposes. Any resemblance to actual events or persons is coincidental. Welcome to my channel Golden Storytime. Once upon a time, there was a woman who never liked mirrors at night. Her name was Elena Carter, a 29-year-old teacher who lived alone in a quiet apartment on the edge of the city. To her students, she was steady and dependable. To her colleagues, she was reserved but kind. But in the privacy of her home, she carried a dread that had followed her since childhood. It began with her mother. Elena remembered the way her mother would cover mirrors after sunset with old white sheets. As a child, she thought it was superstition. But now, years after her mother's tragic death in a mysterious fire, Elena was starting to understand why. One rainy night, Elena found a letter folded inside one of her mother's cookbooks. The handwriting was delicate, but frantic. If you're reading this, it means the shadow has found you too. Do not trust what you see after midnight. Do not believe the reflection, it is not you. Her chest tightened. The words clawed into her mind. She tried to laugh it off, but fear sat heavy in her stomach. That night, as the clock ticked past midnight, she walked into her bathroom, switched on the light, and looked straight into the mirror. At first, nothing. Just tired eyes, pale skin, dark circles from sleepless nights. Then her reflection blinked. But Elena hadn't. Her mother's warning echoed. Do not believe the reflection, it is not you. Elena's legs trembled. She wanted to run, but something kept her rooted. What if her mother's death wasn't an accident? What if the same thing was waiting for her now? Heart racing, Elena shut off the light and stumbled back. But she knew this was no dream. Something inside the mirror was alive, and it wanted her. The next morning at school, Elena could barely focus. Her colleague Rachel leaned in, concern etched across her face. But when she returned home that evening, the letter still lay open, waiting. She whispered to herself, "It's not real. It can't be." But as she walked past the hallway mirror, her reflection lifted its hand before she had even moved. Her reflection pressed its palm against the glass first, staring straight at her, lips curling into a smile that wasn't hers. Elena couldn't shake the image of her reflection moving on its own. She avoided the hallway mirror for 2 days, throwing a blanket over it, pretending it didn't exist. But the problem wasn't solved, was waiting, too. On the third night, she woke to a sound, a faint tapping, like fingernails against glass. Her stomach dropped. The sound came from the hallway, the mirror. Barefoot, heart pounding, she crept closer. The blanket she had thrown over it was sliding down as though something beneath it pushed outward. Her reflection was standing there in the dark, clear as day, its lips forming words she couldn't hear. She stumbled back, covering her ears. But the sound wasn't in the room, it was inside her head. At school the next day, exhaustion clung to her like a shadow. Her students asked questions she didn't hear. Rachel touched her arm, eyes wide. "You need help, Elena. You're scaring me." Elena almost told her, but how could she explain? Instead, she snapped, "I'm fine, Rachel." Her voice was sharper than intended. Regret gnawed at her immediately. When she got home, she found a second letter on her desk. She hadn't left it there. The paper was the same faded stationery as her mother's, Elena's. Blood ran cold. She searched her apartment. Every lock was still secure, no signs of intrusion. But the letter was real. Someone or something had left it for her. Was her mother trying to reach her from beyond the grave? Or was the reflection planting these letters to drive her insane? If fear gave it power, then every heartbeat was giving it more control. That night, Elena dreamed of fire. Her mother's silhouette screaming behind glass. She jolted awake, sweat-soaked, to find her bedroom mirror uncovered. Her reflection stood there, grinning, though she had not moved a muscle. Her reflection reached out of the mirror's fingers, pushing through the glass like liquid, reaching for her. Elena screamed as the fingers brushed her blanket. She jumped out of bed, slamming the mirror with a lamp until the glass cracked. The reflection's hand retreated instantly, but the grin remained, even in fractured shards. She fell to the floor, sobbing. But the cracked glass didn't silence it. The reflection whispered from every shard, its voice multiplying. "You cannot break me. I am you." The next morning, Elena dragged the mirror out of her apartment, leaving it shattered by the dumpster. She thought she was free. For the first time in days, she breathed. But when she returned from work, a mirror was waiting for her again. Not the same one, another. An antique oval mirror sat neatly against her hallway wall. She hadn't bought it. Elena panicked. She called Rachel. Please come over. I can't explain, but I need you here. Rachel didn't hesitate. Within half an hour she was knocking at Elena's door. Elena flung it open, grabbing her friend's arm, pulling her inside. Spool. Rachel touched her face gently. You're not crazy. Something's happening here. We'll figure it out. You're not alone. For the first time, Elena felt hope. But then Rachel turned toward the mirror. Her reflection didn't move. Instead, Elena's reflection smiled wider. Rachel froze. Two women stood frozen in front of a mirror that defied reality. Rachel had seen it now, proof Elena wasn't insane. But if the reflection wasn't Elena, then what was it? And how long before it crossed over completely? Rachel grabbed Elena's hand. We need to destroy it. She picked up a chair, raising it high. But before she could strike, the reflection spoke in Elena's voice. Rachel froze mid-swing. The reflection winked. Elena's blood turned to ice. The shadow wasn't just after her anymore, it had found leverage. Rachel dropped the chair, backing away, her face paled. This isn't just in your head, Elena, it's real. The apartment felt smaller, darker. Elena's chest heaved. She wanted to smash the mirror, but Rachel's trembling hand clutched hers. What if it's not lying? What if breaking it does kill me? That night, neither woman could sleep. They sat together on the couch, the glow of the mirror lingering in the hallway. The reflection stood there still, unmoving now, but smiling as though it had one. Elena's phone buzzed. A new message, from an unknown number. The fire wasn't an accident. She tried to destroy me. She failed. You will too. She shook her head. I don't know. My mother died in a fire. And now this thing is taunting me. Rachel whispered. What if your mother wasn't crazy? What if she fought it before you? The puzzle pieces twisted into place. Her mother's warnings, the fire, the letters. The shadow had been haunting their family for years. But if her mother failed to stop it, how could Elena succeed now? Elena made a decision. If it wants to be free, then I have to find out how it's trapped. There must be a way to end it for good. Elena's voice shook. My mother's house. It's still standing. Barely. Maybe there's something she left behind. The next evening, Elena drove them to the abandoned remains of her childhood home. The fire had gutted the second floor, but the ground level was still intact, dust and soot covering every corner. Elena's heart ached as she stepped inside. The faint smell of char lingered, though years had passed. Memories pressed against her chest, her mother humming in the kitchen, laughter echoing in the halls, the sudden scream the night of the fire. Rachel held a flashlight, sweeping it across the cracked walls. What exactly are we looking for? In her mother's old study, behind a warped bookshelf, Rachel had found a small locked box. The wood was blackened from smoke, but intact. Elena's hands shook as she pried it open with a rusty screwdriver. Inside were journals, her mother's handwriting filling page after page. Destroying one mirror is useless. It moves to another. The only way is to bind it, trap it, starve it. The ritual must be completed with two souls. Alone, I will fail. If you find this, my daughter, forgive me. I hope you never see what I have seen. Her mother had tried alone and died. The shadow had waited all these years for Elena. Now, it demanded freedom. But if the ritual needed to, Elena wasn't alone anymore. Could Rachel be the key, or the target? Suddenly, glass shattered in another room. They froze. The mirror in the hollow oval antique once stood upright, though they hadn't brought it with them. Elena grabbed Rachel's hand as the flashlight buzzed weakly. Her reflection in the mirror didn't mimic her anymore. It smiled with cruel intent. The journals lay open, their words glowing faintly in the weak light, as though ink itself pulsed. Elena read aloud. To bind the shadow, two must face the glass together. One must resist. One must anchor. Before Elena could answer, the reflection moved. Its hand pressed through the glass again, but this time it wasn't just fingers, its entire arm pushed out. stretching the glass like water. They stood before the mirror together. The reflection's grin vanished, replaced by fury. "No, you will not succeed. She failed. You will burn like her." V's shadow lunged, wrapping around both of them. Elena felt herself being pulled, her body dragged toward the glass like gravity itself. Rachel's grip tightened. The glass behind them shimmered like a pool of black water. The shadow tried to drag them both inside, but the journals on the floor glowed brighter, filling the room with searing light. Was it over, or had they only delayed the inevitable? The silence was deafening, the absence of the reflection almost too good to believe. Elena looked around, relief flooding her. But as they turned to leave the ruined house, a shard of glass cracked under her shoe. She froze. This is a terrifying story about Elena Carter. Elena's mother always warned her, never trust the reflection after midnight, but she never took it seriously until one day it was too late. Haunted past revealed. Emily had never been particularly close to her mother, since her father left them when she was just a baby. Emily and her mother had each other and built their own little world inside their home. The only evidence of her father was his name still being on the health insurance card and the fading picture of him on the fridge. She had no memory of what he looked like or how he sounded, so when she turned 18, she decided to search for him. She tracked him down to New York City and called him, but then hung up before he could answer. It was too scary. What if he didn't want to see her? What if he had a new family and wouldn't want to disrupt it? What if he was worse than she imagined? All these questions flashed through her mind, but they were eclipsed by the feeling that she had to know the truth. And so she went. As she read through the brittle pages, she learned that her mother had been leading a double life. She had a secret lover who was blackmailing her for money. But why? And what did he want with Emily? The stranger's connection. Emily had never been particularly close to her mother. Since her father left them just a baby, Emily and her mom had each other and built their own little world inside their home. The only evidence of her dad was his name still being on the health insurance card and the fading picture of him on the fridge. She had no memory of what he looked like or how he sounded. So when she turned 18, she decided to search for him. She tracked him down to New York City and called him, but then hung up before he could answer. It was too scary. What if he didn't want to see her? What if he had a new family and wouldn't want to disrupt it? What if he was worse than she imagined? All these questions flashed through her mind, but they were eclipsed by the feeling that she had to know the truth. And so she went. As she opened the diary, a folded piece of paper slipped out. Unfolding it carefully, she saw that it was a map leading to a hidden compartment in her mother's room. Her heart pounding in her chest, she raced upstairs and began tearing down the wallpaper as instructed. But nothing appeared. Was the diary wrong? Had she wasted all this time for nothing? Just then, a glint of metal caught her eye. Beneath the last strip of wallpaper, she found a small box hidden behind the radiator. Her hands trembled as she opened it, revealing stacks of letters tied together with a faded ribbon. These were love letters from her mother's secret lover. Emily's heart sank as she read through the passionate words written in a flowing script. The man's name was Julian, and he poured out his undying love for Emily's mother, signing off with a flourish. But there was something strange about these letters. The date at the top didn't match the yellowed paper and faded ink. They were years old. Why had her mother kept them? And why were they hidden so carefully? With trembling hands, she reached for the last letter. It was dated the night before her mother's supposed fall. And as she began to read, her blood ran cold. In the final moments of her life, her mother's lover had confessed his true intentions. He planned to run away with her, but someone had found out and threatened to expose their affair. He would protect her, he vowed, no matter the cost. But then came a chilling postscript, written in a different hand. I know your every move, Julian. You can't hide, you can't run. No one can save you. The note was signed simply, The Reflection. Who was this mysterious figure lurking in the shadows? And what was the connection to her mother's death? Family secrets exposed. Emily was horrified to learn that her mother had been keeping secrets from her. She had always thought that her parents' relationship was perfect, but now she knew better. It made her question everything she thought she knew about her family. She had been so close to them, yet they had been hiding so much from her. This revelation shook her to her core and made her wonder what other secrets her family was hiding. Determined to uncover the truth, she delved deeper into her mother's belongings. While searching, she stumbled upon a hidden compartment in her desk, revealing a collection of photographs. They showed her parents with a group of unfamiliar people. Some of the faces were smiling, but others were scowling, their eyes hard and cold. One photograph, however, stood out from the rest. It showed her father holding her as a baby, but there was something strange about it. The background was different from their apartment. Where was he? Who were those people? And what were they hiding? With each passing day, the pieces of the puzzle came together, forming a chilling picture. Emily learned that her father was involved in something sinister, something that had driven a wedge between him and her mother. It was a dangerous world of deceit and betrayal where no one was safe. Psychological struggles. Emily was starting to feel like she was losing her mind. The constant fear and paranoia were taking a toll on her, making her question her own sanity. Was she really uncovering these secrets, or were they figments of her imagination? She felt isolated and alone, unable to confide in anyone about what she was going through. As the lines between reality and illusion blurred, she became more withdrawn and detached, pushing away her friends and family. Emily was struggling with her sanity. The constant fear and paranoia were taking a toll on her, making her question her own thoughts and feelings. Was she really uncovering these secrets, or were they figments of her imagination? She felt trapped in a nightmare and didn't know who to turn to for help. With each passing day, she became more detached from reality, unable to tell the difference between what was real and what wasn't. She was desperate for answers, but the closer she got to the truth, the deeper she fell into the abyss of madness. Cliffhanger resolution. With the help of her father, Emily confronted the mysterious reflection once and for all. But as she fought to protect herself and her loved ones, she uncovered a shocking twist that would change her life forever. Who was the mysterious reflection haunting Emily and her family? What was its connection to her mother's death? And how did her father fit into this terrifying puzzle? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you won't miss any new stories. If you enjoyed this story, check out more stories like this one. And be sure to share it with your friends and family. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.